All right, good afternoon from Tallahassee, Florida. It's been a while. So today I want to talk about choosing an advisor. I'll say that potential advisor or just an advisor for someone who has resumed school. And this is very important because different people have had different experiences, bad experiences with advisors, even here in the United States. And especially as an international student, it's very important who you choose to be your advisor. Very, very important. We've had people with nasty experiences, those who eventually probably had to choose a different advisor eventually, or had to leave the program. But before I continue to go into it, this is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it if you have not subscribed. Okay, subscribe to it. If you are watching this now, I encourage you to subscribe. Your subscription and sharing with others, it encourages me, it encourages us to do more. Okay, so very important. Why do you need advice? Of course, while you are trying to make application, you'll identify a research area which you believe you want to work in. You identify that research area, and then you look for advisors of professors working in that area, in those areas, and you choose them and you say, oh, I'm interested. You write it in your statement of purpose. I'm interested in working with this professor. I'm interested in working with Professor A, B, C, or Z. And um, but you don't really know anything about them, in terms of how they work, in terms of how they relate with students, in terms of other students' experiences with them. So until you get your F1 visa, and then you are able to travel to the United States or whichever country you're going to, that is when you start to learn about them. That is when you start to see how they relate with other students. That's when you start to see other student experiences with such professors. And for many people, because they've given a professor their commitment in code from the very beginning before they gain admission, they will always feel that responsibility, especially Africans or Nigerians, will always have to feel that responsibility that, oh, I must continue with this professor. Let me tell you first and foremost that it's not compulsory you continue with a professor if you have discovered that this person has what is known as a toxic traits. Okay, toxic in quotes. It's not compulsory you continue with any professor. People change professors even along the line. They change those who become their advisors along the line. Okay, so if you're in that situation, you've chosen someone, just know that you are not condemned to that person. It's not a must you continue with that person. You can change. That is a possibility. But let me just speak generally first and foremost what you want to consider when choosing an advisor. I will speak to those who are already here on ground in the US, for example. What do you want to look at? Aside from the research work, yes, research work you are interested in, or this person has funding, this person can fund me, yes, that's beautiful. Of course, in many cases, for some professors who don't have the fund, the department can fund the students, and the student just remain as a TA and then still continue working with the professor. But first, you want to look at those things. You also want to pay attention particularly to what students are saying about the professors. Very important. You want to speak with the students of this professor, those who are graduate students, those who are the advisees, those who are doing research with the professor. You want to hear what they have to say. You want to hear their experience. There are some professors, everything their students have to say about them, all they have to say is complaints. All they have to give is complaints about the professor not hindering them, not allowing them to do this and that, or the professor um, acting towards them in a very harsh way. Okay, so when you hear such things, you want to take those things seriously. Don't just say, oh, maybe those students are lazy or that. You want to pay attention to those things and factor those things or those comments into your decision. Okay, you want to factor in those comments, those words into your decision making. It's very, very important because we've had experiences, students, Nigerian students, for example. At least I know one student, someone who had to drop out because of an advisor issue. I know someone who is who has dropped out, in fact, not one person, not two, that has dropped out and ended with a master's degree because of an advisor issue. We have students who are currently facing advisor issue. In fact, one of my own very good friend had an issue with the advisor very early on. I'm happy he quickly picked it. Second year, he just went back home, wrote an email to the man and said, "It's been nice working in your lab for X number of months. I want to inform you that I won't be coming to your lab again. I'll be going to look for a new group to join, blah, 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 blah." And he left that group, okay? So you want to make sure that you want to look for a group where you are treated as a human being. You don't want to be in a group where you are tiptoeing, where you cannot, where even, say, a what's the word now? An ideal situation is that you want to feel safe in your group. Okay, even when you don't really know things, you want to feel safe in that group so that they are the one to help you, teach you, or groom you, so that when you move out of the group, you can be able to defend and say what you want to say or what you are learning without any issue, without any trouble. Your group is meant to prepare you, so you should feel secured in the group. So if you are choosing any advisor or any group, make sure you want to choose a place where you feel secured. You will know when you start interacting with them, and that's why some schools, they do it in a very beautiful way. Before you join a group, they ask you to rotate through the labs. You have a feeling of what they do. Maybe you spend 1 or 2 weeks in each of the labs with each of the professors to have a feel of what they do, to have an idea of what they are doing. It's a very beautiful thing, and for those schools that do that, there are some schools like my school, in my department, we don't really do that. In my department, you just look out for a group that you love. For me, I've had a very beautiful experience so far, but not everyone has that beautiful experience. So when you hear about professors that are notorious for doing this to students, for doing that to students, you want to avoid such professors. And traits you need to look out for, you want to look out for, you don't want a professor that will not be there for you. Okay, some professors just have students, they are not there for their students, not necessarily out of their own doing. So you want to make sure that you go in with those who really value you and you actually value. So uh, when you join the group, you want to make sure there are professors that they have the time for you. Okay, that's what I was saying. They have the time for you. They Some professors can't just help it. They just travel around. They have students, yeah, but the students are more or less left to their own. Okay, so when you speak with students who are those who are students of the professors already, you want to know how much time they have for their students. Those are some of the things you want to look out for. Does this professor have time for you? Does this professor put you through things? There are some professors, they believe the way they want you to learn is do it on your own. That's, to me, I don't take that as really mentorship. Mentorship should involve you trying to know what the student knows and then move from there, more like giving direction. I know, yeah, PhD student, it shouldn't be spoon-fed, this and that, but there should be an healthy amount of interaction. So you want such a thing. And then number two, you want to look for a professor that does not look down on students, that does not, maybe look down is not the word, that does not belittle students, that does not use some derogatory words on students. Okay, I've had different people share different experiences with me about the professors that they had to work with, and the professors use those derogatory words like, students, saying students are good for nothing, students can't amount to something, those words that constantly beats you down to break you down. You don't want someone like that. You want someone who values you as a human being, as someone that can learn. You want such a person to be your professor, to be your advisor, not someone who sees you less than human. Okay, and those there are experiences like that. And of course, you don't want a professor who that's a top point now, who wants everything to be in perfection, in the sense of, oh, I'm looking for a perfect student, a student that is perfect already. Because I tell you, research can be frustrating. You can't be perfect. There will be situations where you don't really even know what you are doing at that point in time, and you need the help. You need someone to talk to open your heart to. And if you have a professor who is looking for perfection, everything must be perfect, you must be perfect, you won't even be able to open up. You want a professor you'll be able to open up to. You want an advisor you'll be able to open up to and tell things. So these are the three things I think you should look out for when you are looking for an advisor. Very, very, very important. And the person, your advisor, doesn't have to be a full professor, very high ranking. No, an assistant professor, beautiful. So far, these qualities are there. So far, you will get this mentorship that you need. And so far, yes, the research makes sense. It makes sense. It's something. Okay, these are things you want to look out for. You don't want to be in a situation where you'll be depressed every day and night of your. For me, as an example, I've had a wonderful few years doing this program. My professor is someone I can always talk to, more than academics, talk about everything, anything. That's mentorship. Of course, some professors will say, yeah, I'm not your counselor. I don't want to add the job of guidance and counseling to my work, blah, blah, blah. But again, the truth is everything, even the research we do, everything, every other aspect of our life affects it. Every other aspect of our life, they affect what we do. Okay, so these are the points, things you want to look out for. Now, if you are choosing from your home country, from Nigeria, Ghana, India, Cameroon, wherever, it's difficult to measure some of these things. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. But you can get a feel of this from your interactions. Okay, when you start sending messages to each other, you should be able to get a feel of this. Now, along those times, you can start messaging their students too. Just ask general question about the lab culture, the culture, and the group culture, and the like. From their responses, you'll be able to deduct things and say, I can cope with this, I can't cope with this and that. You'll be able to deduct it from the responses they give to you. I'll give you an example. When I was searching for schools when I was searching out for schools, applying to schools and the likes, I was considering, if you have watched some of my videos, that's why you should come and watch some of these videos which I have here. If I'll be doing this now, I'll be opening some of the videos so that you can see what you can watch. All right, so when I was trying to apply to schools, then I have that story, some of those stories in one of these videos. Yeah, it must be a very old video. One of the countries I was considering was South Africa, and I started discussing with this prof. And then from the responses I was getting, I didn't feel I was already feeling that vibe of someone who is saying, you must do this or you must do that. Or, not that I'm lazy, but when you start getting that feel of hardness, of toughness, of what's the word again? Those feel of I don't know the word to use. When you start getting those feel from the messages, you should think twice. Like, am I really sure I want to go with this professor? Professor already telling you, hope you'll be able to cope with this, and that if you cannot cope, it's good to, just some words that you don't want to use on students to discourage students. When you start getting those discouraging vibes, you should pay attention to it. If it's possible to still change, yes, do so. But again, even if it's not possible, because for many people the idea is for you to even get that funding first, to get someone who will say, oh, I'm funding you. When you get on ground, even if you have to come with the professor, write about him in your SOP, him or I in your SOP, when you come on ground, evaluate things before you make full commitments. Okay, so you don't have to make commitment just immediately you land and say, oh, I'm committed to this, I'll start doing this and that, I must start working in the lab, this and that. Evaluate things, speak with other students, know what is going on before you make a full commitment, because people are really having difficulties with professors, especially if you are coming from a place like Africa. Some people have the mentality that, oh, they've not done much, they don't know much, this and that, which is a wrong mentality anyway. But of course, in Nigeria, for example, there are things we may struggle with because of the way we were taught. If you didn't do computer science specifically, for example, in Nigeria, if you do things like physics, chemistry, you may not have too much knowledge of computer programming, and that may be a factor for some people. They will just be looking down, you're like, this boy that doesn't know anything, blah blah blah. So These are, you just want to assess things when you land, when you get on ground, to know, is this person I can work with or not? Very, very, very important. All right, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I'm asking you to subscribe. I'm asking you again, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. It's nice I'm able to do this again. It's been a long time, it's been a while. I will try my best. I will try my best. When we get this PhD, don't worry, we celebrate together when we get this PhD, and then we'll really have more time to devote to this, but because there are a lot of things I want to talk about that we really need to talk about. All right, share this video with a friend, send it to someone who needs to see this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Subscribe. God bless you.